Welcome to episode 94 of a Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Detty. Joining me, our man, who's secretly been playing the long game, and for the last 22 months has been studying Phil's amD deck construction so that he could work towards the evil sorcery of draining the very luck from Phil and disgustingly rechanneling it into his very own deck. And the group's outrage will be felt. How do you plead? Gaz. Say guilty, Gaz.
Whoa. I feel like it was Phil who did all the luck transferring. I was just sitting there being unlucky, and then suddenly I wasn't anymore.
Why would Phil voluntarily get rid of his superpower?
I don't know if he did it voluntarily, but he instigated it. He helped. He was helping out a bro, right?
Yeah.
By just touching my deck.
Yeah. Which was announced heaps. Like, I'm never touching your deck again.
Yeah, that's it. And from a New Zealander, it definitely have a different context. And I don't know how outraged the group was.
Not really outraged. It was more for added effect. Actually, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Phil's the only one that's outraged.
Yeah, I feel like everyone else thought it was hilarious.
It was funny only because, and I need to point this out, we're not intentionally being extra mean to Phil. It's just when you've got the guy who's had most of the luck on his side for nearly 2 years and it all falls apart in one scenario, it's kind of amusing. Like, if it continued to happen, obviously it would feel terrible and it would be like, no, how do we get him back into it? But, I mean, write this one out. Just that one scenario. It's gone now. You don't have to worry about it anymore, Phil.
Did you feel terrible because it happened to me for 18 months?
No.
Yeah, cool, good. And just make sure I understood where the hierarchy sits. Yeah, if it happens to Phil one more time, we'll feel terrible for him. But yeah.
Yeah, guys, I'm new to this whole, content creation thing. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel around, you for the last 2 years and missing all the time. This whole process is, unique and foreign to me.
Is it? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
new year.
Empathy.
Yeah, we're in
Empathy
a
is
new year, and I will try to empathize with. Not that I need to anymore, because now you're the new Phil. So as soon as your luck runs out, which might be next week, then I can lay into you and be like, oh, I remember all those crits you got that one time. Yeah, how does it feel? How does it feel to miss all the time?
Yep, that's it. Like it always has, like normal, like things are back to normal. So
Yeah.
yes, well, we'll see, because that was interesting and it was really weird. I don't know, using
Did you find
abilities.
out? Did you find out how to roll well, or did you just find out how to make your deck better?
I don't know, honestly. I just like when you draw as badly as I do on a regular basis, especially the null coming up, you learn to expect it. So
Yeah.
it meant when I was using my abilities, I was kind of like, well, after about 3 or 4 of not missing, I was like, oh well, pretty much guaranteed to miss now. And the more clutch and important the attacks became, the more certain I was like, I see what Fate was doing. It was just like false sense of security, right? We'll let you think that you're not going to draw you now. And then when it's really important, there you go, done.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
was
it
the
was
old
weird.
the old way of you doing it, and the new ways we like it more.
Yeah, just don't miss and then crit, right?
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone, and also Happy New Year to you, Gaz. We hit New Year before everyone else because we're special. Wait, did Ricewinder make it before us, or is he
Yeah.
on the other side?
No, he's at the start.
He's at the start. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, second. So yeah, second into the new year. Out of all the countries in the world, so that's pretty amazing.
Is it? Are we
And
really second out of all the countries?
no, probably 100% not at all.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
saying that we're the second most important, right?
Yep.
The rest doesn't matter. Did you complete your New Year's resolution, by the way?
I did.
You
one
remembered
of
it a
them.
week before the year finished. So you had like a week to redo it.
I think, yeah, I did most of it.
Can you remind everyone what it was?
Read the Frosthaven rulebook.
After a whole podcast in Frosthaven,
Yep.
reading the Frosthaven rulebook. Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I read a chunk of it and then I didn't read any more. And it got to the point where it didn't seem relevant to read it because we were finished or going to be finished or, you know.
Yeah, okay. I didn't do mine either, if that makes you feel better.
My other one was to start learning piano, which I started, but I didn't do much on. I mean, technically, I did achieve that because I just set very low bar of start, not actually achieve anything, right?
So what, you just banged a few keys and you were like, I think that's good enough?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I started learning lessons through an app. So, I've got that, but then I didn't do it enough. So
Yeah,
that can
okay.
be just carry over New Year's
Oh,
resolution.
no, you have to make new ones. You clearly can't set to those ones because they're too difficult. So let's get some easier ones into the picture. Ones that are achievable, Gaz.
I will allow you to tell me the rules for Crimson Scales.
Ugh.
Is that achievable?
We did that last year.
Yeah, well, I know that's all we know that it's achievable, right? Like,
Uh, Look, I got a couple.
okay, is this for me?
For us, maybe. I can't
Okay,
remember. I've got my list. I just don't remember if it was for you and me.
sure.
But we'll just go through them or we'll sign them.
We'll just say dibs, right? When we hear a good one.
Okay. We finished Crimson Scales in record time.
I don't know what the record is.
I don't know. We probably already failed.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not even sure why I wrote that. Record time from what?
I would have
Later.
just gone with finish Crimson Scales. That would have been an achievement in
Well,
itself.
that's going to happen. We're definitely going to make that. It's whether or not, and I've got it somewhere else in my notes. I can't find them right now because they must be further along. But whether or not we'll finish it in time for Rove or 2.0.
The 2.0 one is the big one for me. I
That's the
don't,
big stretch.
yeah, I'd love to give Rove a crack, but I don't know if we're going to have time for Crimson Scales with TOA and Rove all before 2.0 comes out, unless 2.0 suffers a monumental delay, like equivalent of what happened this year, and there is something, which I hope it doesn't, because I know that they're trying really hard, and there's a lot of people working really, really hard to get things done, and it's way more moving parts than any of us know. So, but I hope that they're kind of on track now to deliver like mid-year.
You're asking the wrong person.
No, you're a lot closer to it to me than me.
Yeah, but not by much. I don't like spoilers, dude. I don't want to know when it comes
I
out.
don't,
I just want
I
it to
don't like
arrive at my front door.
you play the Kickstarter game with spoilers turned off, where it doesn't tell you the delivery. You don't know when it's fulfilled or shipped or arriving. Just get an Oz Post notice to say like, "Hey, come get this thing."
But even then, it's still a surprise because I'm not sure what game it is.
Very good.
Uh, okay. Gaz's luck continues to change for at least 3 months, meaning Gaz's AMD will be a lot kinder. Whilst Phil's heads into the Gaz's world for only 3 months. Is 3 months too long?
I mean, you said achievable. I don't know if we'll get through next week with me, like,
Okay.
not missing 3 times.
Okay. We won't see all of the Crimson Scales classes.
That's the that's a New Year's resolution?
No, it's it's a prediction, sorry. Oh, yeah, I've got predictions and resolutions nearby. Let's go with predictions.
Okay.
This makes a
Yeah.
lot more sense now.
Yeah, if it's predictions. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't think we'll see them all. Not unless we try. Like, really, like, kind of try to smash out, retirements.
Yeah, okay. Here's something I'll spitball with you right now. If we don't get through all the classes and we finish Crimson Scales, do we still unbox them or do we hang on to the mystery of them to take into another campaign eventually in the future? If we ever end up in the Frosthaven situation where we've run out of classes and we have to double up. But can we sit on them for that long?
Are you saying sit on them till we come back around to Crimson Scales, or sit on them till we come back around, like, at the end of Gloomhaven 2.0?
As in, these custom classes can be played in any haven, Jaws of the
Yeah.
Lion, Frosthaven, whatever. So whatever the next campaign is, we'll play it as it is, but eventually we may run out of characters to pick. And a lot of people go, oh, that's okay, I've got my Crimson Scales characters, and they start bringing those in to customize the game. So will we sit on these now, unbox them, and know exactly everything we need to know about them? Or do we hang on to them for when it's really necessary, like we've run out of characters to play for a future game, and we do our unboxing then and go, hey, everyone, 7 years ago we played Crimson Scales. We didn't get to unbox the ladder and the axe dude, so we're doing it right now. And 3 people are like, yay.
So like an emergency break glass kind of unboxing. No, I think we would unbox them all, and then we just pull them in if we thought that they sounded interesting enough to play.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. Another prediction, and this one's a great one. The Carlton Blues win the 2025 Premiership, and we will address this later on in the year. because this is not a prediction that we can see anytime soon. But for my American listeners, and I'm going with American listeners because I know is it NFL?
Yeah.
Sports ball's very big there. All right. Everyone loves it. All right. Is there, to my American friends who may know this, is there a team there who was one of the most feared teams in the league, has an incredibly rich history and a very hardcore and pretty feral fan base, all right, that the other teams just loathe this particular team? They haven't done anything of late for the last 30 years. All right, 30 years. They used to be big, used to be powerful, used to be like amazing. You don't really talk about them much these days, right? You're worried that you're not going to see success for the rest of your life with that team. All right, that's my team. That's my football team. So I want to know who the Carlton Blues are of NFL, right? Who is the team? Because that's the team I'm going to follow because I don't follow NFL, so I'm going to pick them. Yeah, like one of the
Yeah.
most successful clubs ever to have just gone through a 30-year drought right now.
Oh no, you guys were good in the 90s.
Yeah, that was the 30 years ago.
Was it? Oh,
Well,
that's right.
as in our
Yeah,
flag was in 95.
yeah, no, because 20 years ago is 2004. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Um, yeah, and from a non-Carlton supporter, another just more kind of traits if you want to try to figure out which team this associates with. Um, this is not Detty. This is the general gist of the fans. Okay, so arrogant, um,
Yeah,
very
I'll
like
have that.
swagger, like they
Yep.
the reason they're unliked, every fan is has a trait and is unliked by the other fans in our Australian sports ball. And the Carlton reason is because their fans are like get real up in your face and are all like, oh, like get real cocky and that stuff. So
Yep.
collectively, people are happy that they're not good because as soon as they get good, then they start getting real cocky.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
100%.
but I'm torn because my team, the Collingwood Magpies, won a flag 2 years ago, and that was like amazing. And so I want Detty to have that joy. Um, but yeah, it's very tricky. I'm a very torn person.
Yes. Sorry, help me find my NFL team and then teach me how
Yeah.
to play it. Link
But
me a
you
video.
said this was a prediction, and you also said at the start things that are achievable, and
That's a
then
bit
you
rude.
said Carlton win a flag.
Yeah, it's technically achievable.
Is it okay?
Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure AFL are rating them pretty high, which means it's going to be pretty bad. Anyway, we will close that as segment out. But yes, please, everyone pray for Carlton. Thank you. Fingers crossed and everything. On today's episode, right after our dirt sheet, we'll be discussing scenario 70. So we did Spirits Rising, which is another Trail of Ashes scenario. And then we have predictions and plans for 2025, but this is a little bit different. This is more about you.
Ooh.
Well, for you to answer, maybe on our behalf. It's a new year, dude. New year.
I
Well,
love
maybe it's the end. It's the end. I can't remember.
Again, if anyone's ever in question of how little amount of prep from my end comes, like, oh, not prep. Prep's the wrong word because Daddy does a lot of work to prep for this, but how much setup? Like these things are not like, oh, hey, let's do this kind of skit where I ask you these questions and you pretend you don't know what the answer is.
That would probably
Like
be easier, to be honest.
maybe. Um, but yeah, so Daddy's going to ask me what my predictions for the future are based on the podcast.
Pretty much. Pretty
Good,
much.
good. I look forward to it.
Let's see. So on our dirt sheet, we've got Crimson Scales team and good. So we've actually Marcus christened the actual other team, not team, the other group, the internal group, all right, of amDirt. They're am good, which I don't know if that's a stab at us. It's 100% a stab at us,
It
and
has
that's
to be.
completely fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just completed scenario 3, which was I was dubbing it the wave pool one because of that wave that was moving across, and they look like they had the same kind of ease that we did. Although I was half watching, half not because I was trying to watch it on my Steam Deck, and that was giving me all sorts of problems. But no, it looks good. It looks good. The communication's great, and I hear that they're getting a fourth.
They are. They're getting a Gaz.
Oh, bit
Yeah.
harsh to label that. Maybe they're getting a fourth player who's going to
They-
play Galaxy.
That's a bit harsh. Like, New Year, we're already
New
throwing
Year's just
shade.
stabs are going everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I reckon. Don't hold back. Yeah, they are. They're getting a fourth, which is awesome. They just have to work out time zones.
Hmm.
So make sure that they don't have multiple people that have to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning. But
I do need to praise that commitment though. I think Slayer actually, one of them is up at 4 a.m. their time,
mm.
to do that, and then after that going straight to work. So
Oh, does he go to
that's
work after that?
I think so. I think so.
Oh, Jesus, that is. Yeah, I jumped in the Discord when they were about to start the other day, and it was kind of cool to just have a chat.
Hmm.
It feels really cool that that spawned out of like us doing this thing. Like, I feel like there's these really cool, weird feel good moments that nobody else would really get, and I don't even really get unless I stop to think about it. But the fact that people are listening to us and watching us on YouTube is crazy and awesome, right? But then there's this little community where people have conversations about stuff and meet and learn about different things, and that's also cool. And now there's another like a group of four people who seem to be getting along really well and playing through a game that was released years and years ago, kind of alongside us, and that's
Hmm.
and people are getting up at 4 a.m. to do that because that seems like fun. Like it's just really cool, like super wholesome, and I just love that these are all these little things that spawn out of us going like, hey, do you reckon if we recorded ourselves rambling on the internet, anyone would get anything out of that? And then suddenly
Hmm.
there's four people that want to play Crimson Scales because of it.
Yeah, Ryson does some great write ups, like better than our pod that we recap the writing format. We may have to hire him as a writer or something like that, but he's gonna have to watch our games. But no, the write ups are really fun, and it's cool that we can relate to what's happening there because of the character choices, right? They're the same as our characters, so it's so much easier when they mention things like, "Oh yeah, the chain in the helm did a whole bunch of traps and got into trouble and all that." We can kind of see that. So no, it's awesome. And they're all from completely different locations, like,
Mm.
which is just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Oh, it is. I for some reason I was like, no, this is true from Australia, but that's because I like everybody else assumed New
You've
Zealand was
combined them.
part of Australia.
Yeah, they may as well be. All right, let's go to scenario 70. So on the way, we had our city and road events. We had city event number 9, our party.
I
I'm
remember
watching.
this
I'm gonna
one.
watch your eyes. Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
your eyes were doing the straight ahead and then look left, right kind of thing.
Yeah. No, this is the talent show. Yeah.
Our party attends a talent show at the Brown Door for an evening of fun and laughter. However, partway through the show, we're unexpectedly called to the stage because apparently the sign in sheet at the entrance was for performers, not guests. Unprepared, we scramble for a decision, sneak out the back door, or take the stage and improvise a performance. Yeah.
So we naturally sent Phil up on stage.
Yeah, it's one that we have to throw someone to the bus and make them do it. And the person that's probably going to be the most uncomfortable in that position would be Phil, right? Having
Yeah.
to make him do any kind of a performance on stage. So that was option B, and we did that. We go on stage, or Phil goes on stage and begins singing and dancing. A nearby quattrel tosses him a few balls. Balls of what? Oh, and he begins juggling them. Gotcha. Keep reading. Keep reading. The crowd begins clapping along to your singing, and your act is followed by a roaring applause. You're pleasantly surprised when you hear your name being called up as one of the winners of the show. Well done, Phil. One player gains +1 enhancement to any level 1 or X card. How good is that?
Really good. Really good. I thought this event was pretty cool. It didn't seem like a flip of the coin, left or right. Like it actually seemed like how you went about this was going to have consequences. It's hard to tell a little bit because you don't know is going on stage and making a fool of yourself is going to be the negative one, or if sneaking out and saving face might be the positive one.
Yeah.
That's a bit tricky. So that's where it's a risk, which is cool. I don't mind there being an unknown risk factor to what you're doing. And I think it was cool the reward. Like it's not just oh you get 10 gold because everyone throws gold at you, which would have been again a very easy thing to do. And you go, oh yeah, whatever. But giving a +1 to someone in the party is pretty impactful, especially this early on in our campaign.
Is it fair to say that a lot of these events, the rewards we've been getting from them, have felt like really good and really different? Because the events that we've just come from with Frosthaven, a lot of the times it's morale or wounds and damage and all
Accents.
that kind of stuff. These ones seem borderline broken, but because everything feels borderline broken or busted or just that's coming from Frosthaven. That's
Yeah.
purely just coming from Frosthaven. Also the excitement of whenever we finish a scenario, it doesn't feel like we're about to get nothing, even though we might. Like we may get another scenario and that's it, like the follow
Mm.
on, but we don't have the morale again. But we're excited for these results or these rewards because yeah, they seem really good. And plus one, literally an enhance, like a free enhance, just like that.
Yeah.
It's free, right?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, I don't think it said you can pay for it. So
Yeah.
and Phil ended up putting that on his heal, which he has the ability to trigger twice with if he eats the consumes
Yeah.
light. So it was kind of like a I'll put it on this because it's kind of beneficial for everyone, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah, it's a good
no,
choice.
I thought it was a really it was really interesting, but yeah, more broadly on the rewards for the events so far. I think they've been really interesting, like really interesting. Nothing game breaking. A bunch of temporary stuff that is
Mm,
kind of cool for one scenario. So even if it is busted, it's not going to ruin the entire campaign by like have this OP item.
yeah.
And I think that that's one of the ways of doing it, right? If you want to give something that's OP, just it's got one use. Like it happens now and that's it. You don't get to pick and
Mm,
choose where you take it. It's just there. Having a +1 to a card is pretty good because it's going to go forever. But again, I mean, it's one card out of 4 players. Like even if we've all got 10 cards, right? That's 1 in 40 cards gets a +1. It's
mm.
not I'm sure there are really good versions of cards that could be put on this to make it amazing. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna. But it felt good. So
Yeah. The I noticed the other side of this particular event is lose one rep, right? It's just straight up lose a rep. A
mm,
lot of the events that we've been having have had a good side and a bad side, and we've seemed to be keep majority of our run so far have pulled the good side. So I wonder how much of this would feel the other way around if we were on the other end of it, with the decisions we've made. Because I mean, even with the next event the next event that we actually did, there was a good and the bad, and the good was really good, and the bad was really like
mm,
yeah, kind of crap. So we seem to keep picking the good stuff without. I don't know if I mean intentionally is the principle of we like to do the interesting option
yeah.
with most of these, but luckily they've also resulted in the positive reward.
Well, I mean, an example of that where we it didn't feel good, but I don't know if that means the whole system needs to be, is in question. Is the go into the cave bramble path or go the other way, remember?
Left or
Like
right?
B yeah, exactly, left or right. Left you found Bs, right you found XP. It felt shitty to not get the good reward. And so I think, yeah, if you constantly got the bad thing, you would be like, this is dumb. And especially if it's just this arbitrary pick left or right, up or down, like
Mm,
A or B, then yeah, I think that at that point it could start being a bit silly.
mm-hmm.
And that's probably where the events from Frosthaven added that extra level of complexity that seemed to be, I don't know, you could think your way through them a bit better. Not all of them,
The
but
like traits,
yeah, the traits or the impactful
riddles.
decisions. Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Not all of them, because there were some real garbage ones in there, and we talked about them in there. But there were also some that were absolutely incredible, right? Like
Mm,
I think Frosthaven from the events, just to compare it to this, did take it to that next level where they were far more complex, and therefore you had heaps better ones, and you also had some that were pretty shit. This is
yep.
probably just like a upgraded version of the Gloomhaven ones.
Mm.
But the rewards have been awesome. And yeah, I think this one here, the only thing I think you could change would be that uh when you choose to do A, which is go up on stage and do it, you pick a person,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That
And
that
then
that. Yeah. I like
yeah,
that.
because that way also then you're tying that person into potentially have a negative if there's
Yeah.
bad, or a
Yeah.
positive if it's good, and it's more on that person. So or collectively you could all choose to leave, which then you share the bad thing, something like that.
Mm.
But other than that, like yeah, that's just ideas to make it more flavorsome. But yeah, it was cool.
Mm. No, it was. Great reward for Phil. We then headed towards 70. We did Road Event 3. As we journey down the road, a faint scream catches our attention. Following the sound, we come across a pit on the roadside, filled with snakes and scorpions. And inside, a terrified vermling looks up at us, whimpering softly for help. Compassion stirs in our hearts as we debate. Do we risk helping the vermling out of the pit, or simply throw down a few morsels to provide some comfort?
I mean, this is another one that felt really like. So essentially, this was: do we try to help the vermling out, or do we just like leave and watch it die? Oh,
Yeah,
let
and
it die.
hopefully they won't go into detail as to how that happened.
Yeah. Although there is, all four of us pretty much unanimously said as soon as we read this one, this is so a trap. Like, we're going to go to pull this guy out, and suddenly, like, 10 more vermlings are going to come and push us in the snake pit and steal our shit, right?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of apprehension around saving him, but not that we wanted the other option to leave him or her.
Mm.
Like, it was like this weird, if the other option had been something different to just throw some food at them and just watch them die, we might have gone with that one.
We ended up trying to help him out. We extended our hand down, and he looked up and cried a little bit and scurried away. So we did rescue him. We got 5 XP each, which was lovely, especially to us. It should have been, if you have the lowest XP, have 15
20?
or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would have been nice. But that's okay. I don't mind if everyone's meter moves forward at the same rate. I'm still just as far behind. Oh, that's right. We played guessing game during the actual scenario. You guessed exactly how much XP I needed to hit the next level, and then I did the same thing for you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when I was guessing to see how much Detty needed, in my head I was like, "Oh, maybe like 25 or 30." No, I'll over exaggerate by heaps and say like 42. And I said 42. And he's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Wait, are you serious?" Oh, I thought I like way over exaggerated how much you needed. No, that was it. So, what's
Now,
the other
just very
option?
well, I was about to read that out. So basically, it says you grab a loaf of bread from your bag and throw it down into the pit. As the vermin reaches towards it, the snakes in the pit hiss and extend their fangs. You watch in horror as the snakes indulge in their meal, leaving the bread untouched. You can't help but feel a tinge of remorse as you turn and slowly walk away. And then for some reason, his dead body cursed us or something like that.
Because it was sad.
You can't curse yourself when you're sad.
That
If you're
that
sad,
should
you
have
get a
been.
-1.
Pardon?
If you're sad, add a -1 to your deck. That's not worth a curse.
Nah, that should have been, add a permanent curse to your deck. Yep.
Oh, just because we didn't pick it.
Yeah, that's it. That's horrible. But I also don't understand why we threw bread at, like, were we throwing the bread to him so it's like, here, have one last meal before you die? Or were we like, hey, maybe these snakes and scorpions really dig like, wheat and they are low on carbs?
To be fair, I didn't know we had bread.
Didn't know either.
Aren't you treasury?
Me?
Yeah. Don't you keep
No.
track of everything? You used to do that. Oh, you got lazy.
There's nothing to keep track of.
Bread.
Well,
Right, -1 now.
we don't have any anymore. So
All right, scenario 70, Spirits Rising. Our story leading up to this point was our party, battered and weary from recent battles, finally draws near the volcano. The smoke and raging storm casts an eerie twilight over the land, making the midday hour feel like night. From this closer vantage, you can see streams of glowing lava flowing down the volcano's side, a mesmerizing and terrifying sight. However, the moment of awe is short lived as we notice a small fire in the clearing ahead. From the thick smoke rising, the smoke spirits begin to form, once again, larger and more determined than before. Despite their menacing presence, turning back isn't an option. The secrets of the volcano are too close to abandon now. Scenario goal when all the spirit monsters are dead. So just the spirit monsters, and I'm glad there's no living spirits in here. The scenario is complete. Read a thing at the end of that round. In this particular scenario, Gaz, we had bandit archers, we had smoke spirits. Bandit archers we haven't seen yet.
no,
Have we had bandits, like regular ones?
I don't know. Maybe I think
You know
so.
what's throwing me out a little bit? We were talking about the PQs last week of the ones that were missed out, and I think one of the flask ones was kill like 30 bandits or the chain guard. I really hate bandits. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, oh cool, there's oh wait, no one cares.
Mm.
But yeah, there's bandits here. We had smoke spirits and water spirits as a combo. That's a lot of crap on the ground.
Yeah, together at last.
Together at last, and hitting and obviously shield and retaliate. We had vermin scavengers, which is still something I still can't get my head around because I know that they do weird stuff like retaliate themselves, and I don't know, they so anti-scout. It just feels very bizarre, and I still don't know how dangerous they are, and right now I don't know if they even are.
Yeah, they just seem to do something random every turn.
Pretty much. And we had a very special guest monster. We had Stu, the Forest Imp, making his grand return
Yeah.
into the world of Gloomhaven, Crimson Scales. For those who wasn't part of our campaign, in Frosthaven, we had one of the buildings. I can't remember which one, and this will be Frosthaven spoilers. We had our stables, and we had pets. We had a net that we had to run around and catch certain creatures or certain monsters from scenarios and bring them back, and they became a pet that would give you a one-off ability for future scenarios, basically. And when we caught them, part of the podcast was we were naming them after members of our community. And we picked randomly from a wheel. We spin a wheel based on the community members, and we assign whoever it lands on to the creature we just caught. So when we caught the forest imp, Stu, which probably became our favorite. Like, let's be real, everyone. Like, we always took Stu.
He had a really good
if we
ability.
could towards the end.
Yeah.
Who heals basically, and everyone got to heal 3. It doesn't matter where you are, which was awesome. And now, yeah, it's cool to see the forest imps again, just because of that.
It was, and we were like, yeah, Stu. Oh, it's like evil Stu.
Yeah, evil Stu. We haven't done anything like that for our campaign yet.
As in, bring in our like kind of Discord community members into the campaign in some way.
Yeah, so I was wondering whether or not at the start of like a session, you pick one monster type, just one type. And then we do the spin the wheel and assign a name to that one. And then, you'll have, whenever we play, let's just say there's 5 living spirits, right? And then we've got living spirits. Let's just go with, let's just say Dang becomes living spirit. The number 1 or the lowest number is the Dang one, and the rest are just like the mini Dangs or whatever. But at least it could be like, I'm hitting Dang 3. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to hit Dang 2. And maybe that's something we can do moving forward. We'll flesh that out a little bit, but I think it'd be fun to bring back some namings into our thing.
100%. If we can find a good way to do it, that would be amazing. So, yeah, maybe we can look at the monsters.
Yeah, if anyone has any ideas on how we can incorporate you all, let us know. Difficulty, we're still on +0. What are your thoughts around this? Does this still feel right?
Yeah, it seems fine. Like, we're pretty shit, so it makes sense, right? We are getting to the point where I think the scenarios are somewhere between easy and not. It's really weird, and maybe that's what this spot is. I don't feel like we're gonna lose. The last 2 haven't felt like we were gonna lose, but haven't felt easy.
Do you reckon that it's something to do with the difficulties that we're making it ourselves from our own mistakes?
I mean, that's part of the difficulty, right? Is
But that's
playing
not
the
us.
game wrong.
That's not the scenario.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, it's tricky because I think if we make it harder, we have to readjust how we play.
That's what we did towards the end of Frosthaven, and it became amazing.
It did, but like we had also played 12, 14 months worth of Frosthaven at that point and knew the characters really well. And not we were looking for a different challenge and a way to spice it up, but we were looking for a different challenge and a way to spice it up. Like, so I don't know if now is the right time to bump the difficulty up, considering we've seen the first 3 scenarios we did at +1?
No, first 2.
First 2, and then we dropped it down to 0, and then we dropped it down to -1 because we were getting real booked. But that was weird because we only had 3
I think
people.
we attempted the first 2, but I think we changed it on the second one. Because the third one was the wave pool one, and then we smashed that on +0.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, yeah, we... Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, we tried 2 on +1, then we went to 0, and then we went to -1, right? So, yeah, I think it's an interesting situation. Maybe once we've got a few retirements, and we have characters starting with 4 or 5 perks, and at like level 3 or 4, that might be when you bump it up, and we have better items.
Mm,
Because if you think
yeah.
about it, in
I'm not
like,
I'm not in a rush to also do it, like turn it up or anything like that because they're not feeling overly stompy, so it's
no,
fine.
no, I know, and that's the thing. It's like you just don't want it to be +1 difficulty means that we have a really like a 50-50 chance of losing it.
Yeah.
Because that coin flip is just not interesting for people. Like, it's not interesting for us to have to replay the scenario. We don't have time on the night to do it, and we don't want to record the same episode up 2 weeks in a row on a constant basis.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a weird situation.
Our party consists of Vortex on me, Galaxy on Gaz, Phil on the Flask, and Mark on the Chain Helm. They were all level 3 at the time at the start of this scenario. This scenario is made up of 3 rooms, 3 doors. Um, that's basically it. And our first room, we have just smoke spirits, we have scavengers, and we have a little tiny stew, a bad evil stew, forest imp hiding out the back. To which I then said, I can snipe that immediately. It's got 2 health. And then Mark stated very politely that he had a very strong hatred for stew, which we asked why. He didn't answer. So there might be a plot twist in there or something. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Special rules. Hazardous terrain is also considered difficult terrain, right? Which is cool.
Oh wow, I just completely forgot about that rule, and I thought we stuffed that up through the entire scenario. But there was a reason why we never had to think about that rule.
That's true. Water spirits also must have a flask with them because they ignore all movement penalties from difficult terrain. And all characters start with poison as a scenario effect. Uh, Thoughts on the scenario at the time, double spirits, and throw in the cursing stew and the vermlings who aren't scouts, so will continue to confuse us with what they can do. I don't remember
Yeah, it was an
writing that.
interesting starting room. I think it was much like scenario 2 or 3, whatever
Hmm.
one was that was like a really hectic starting room where you're in range of everything. Smoke spirits they're a really weird starting monster, right? In the starting room, especially with lots of them, because if you do nothing, you're gonna get whacked, and it's usually one person who's gonna get whacked. Maybe share it out a little bit with a second. If you all go really fast, then you've got to kill one, but then everyone's going to take retaliate damage and then get whacked. Like,
Yeah, you're right. The thing that I forget about smoke spirits the most is that I'm aware of, their innate retaliate and also their hazardous terrain. What caught me off guard this time is the amount of times they pull.
mm,
Even the little mini pull, it's got like a mini range 2 pull 1 kind of thing, but that was enough to throw us all off, especially Mark in the first room. Because yeah, I don't see them utilize that a lot.
mm,
And that could have been pretty catastrophic, especially with hazardous terrain and all that kind of stuff around, right?
definitely. But we had a plan.
What was the plan?
We spoke to our trusty Flask and mentioned that the Am Good crew had clued us in to a card that the Flask has that can be quite good when you are dealing with hazardous and or difficult terrain.
The card in
Uh,
question is called Environmental Survey, which is thematic with it. And the bottom of it is you and all allies within range 4 ignore penalties from difficult and hazardous terrain as a permanent persistent on the
seems
flask.
seems real good.
And I hadn't looked at the card yet, but I remember sitting at the table and do you remember saying, "Hey Phil, do you have this card?" And he went through his whole deck several times and was like, "Nah, I can't find it."
I
It's
don't
like
have it.
it's there. It has to be there. Like I know it is. And
Well,
then he eventually found it.
Winey played it. Who's playing the Flask in the Am Good playthrough? He played it, I think, on the first or second scenario, so he has to
Yeah, I
have
think
it
so.
right. Like it's got to be a 1 or X. But
Yeah.
yes, to his credit, Phil found it, and also saw the benefit in playing it, and so played it first turn, and then we, for the better part, didn't have to worry about hazardous or difficult.
Absolutely. And the scenario legend, I guess, or the thing that tells you what tiles you're going to need for it, it did mention there were 14 water tiles somewhere in here, and that none of them were in the first room. So it looked like we were going to have a flooded kind of situation, and I think that's something that helped push that decision along because this card is not must take, right? It probably isn't must take. It was for this scenario, but it's not one that he needs to bring every single time,
Yeah, totally. Like it's a
right?
flex card. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm so sorry. I was like, yes, you are right. It's a flex card. I'm thinking of a moment where and this will be on the playthrough. So anyone who's watched the playthrough at this point, there were a
Is
few
it me?
moments where I wasn't going to say names, but there were people within our group that forgot this card was in play. And then we would explain that, and then straight after that, and I literally mean straight after that, like within 5 seconds of that explanation, and the like, oh yeah, that's right, proceeded to reduce someone's life for moving through hazardous terrain, and we're like, but he's still got the thing that we just spoke about literally right now. Like, yeah. So that was interesting. But it was funny because Mark also didn't realize that was a thing. And he was using jump boots to go everywhere. So he was jumping over all the water and has so we had this thing that was amazing and it made the scenario a lot easier. You kept forgetting that it existed, and Mark kept forgetting it existed, and so he used his jump to get over everything. So I'm like, maybe we didn't really need it. Like
Yeah,
in the end. So yeah, it was a bit funny.
it was. Yeah, I've never felt so stupid, but that's because yeah, it's such a rare thing that comes up.
Hmm.
So yeah, because nothing's changed with our party.
The thing is that, and I like when you're in the moment and you're working stuff out, difficult terrain and hazardous terrain, I mean, they make complete sense and I don't confuse them, but it's usually pretty rare that we have both of them a lot. And I think that's the thing, that when you're not thinking and you're just moving around, it can be very easy just to put them all in the same category. Like, oh, they're all difficult, right? Or, so yeah, I think with that card, because it ignores all of it, it makes it easier. But it's like, oh, no, that'll just be ignoring difficult terrain. Because I don't think we've seen
Mm,
anything that ignores hazardous. So, not in Frosthaven anyway.
no, not no. Oh, the 3 media perk, but that's about it.
Yeah, true. There might have been some cards that were like for that turn, but yeah.
Possibly. Um, is this a class defining card?
What, the no hazardous difficult terrain?
Yep.
Oh, I think in the scenarios that like have heaps of water and hazardous terrain, yeah, it's pretty important. Um, but other than that, no, I wouldn't say this is a must-take card.
Okay. Like, what do you consider to be a class defining card?
I think something that you have to take that
One with a
enables
mountain.
one with a mountain, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One a card that you have to take because it enables or is the kind of super linked to what your character wants to do.
Hmm.
Right? So if it's either the setup, like one with a mountain, or it could be the finisher, like because you have cards that are like they allow you to use the things. Like I don't know, you've got your Tide Pod spenders, right?
Yep.
I feel like some of your ones that you use Tide Pods regularly, those are your more class defining cards. Not more, but they're some of those.
Yeah. Okay.
So for the flask, I would say a class defining card is I think it's the leftover tonic might be, which
Yeah.
is like
Okay.
the if you don't attack or move, you get to attack or move.
That's a fair. That's and yeah. There's no right or wrong. So yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it out.
Mm,
That is a class defining card because that's also almost the cornerstone of so many other of the cards in the tool set. It's just that's I guess the main one that focuses on that.
mm.
Um, is there a card that you can think of that is comparable to the one that we've just covered for the flask, the one that ignores all the hazardous and difficult terrain, like a group wide thing that works in a similar way? Because I've got one, and
In
it's only because
Fro-
I've played it.
in Frosthaven,
Yeah.
birds.
Hmm. Not really. I'm not categorizing that only because that's forced movement for your teammates that I guess the Banner Spear can do and others can kind of do. I'm talking about this is unique in that it's like literally, don't worry, guys, you can ignore this mechanic
Mm.
completely.
Yeah, not that comes to mind. What have you got?
The only comparison I've got to it is Shackles has one called Blood Ritual. Whenever an ally gains a negative condition within range 3, you may take that condition instead, even if you already have it. As
Yeah.
that kind of worldwide, let's ignore that particular rule. That's the only thing I can come up with that feels similar, just for a different mechanic.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good point actually. It's like one of those things that just breaks the rules. So it says, or it doesn't break, but ignore this rule, right? This is the new text, but globally.
Yeah, because there were times that I was using that card, and then but it wasn't must bring as much as everyone would have loved it.
Mm.
Yeah, but there was someone that was really gross if we could see what innates we were going to be, dealing with.
Yep. Same.
All right. So the first room was fairly standard after Mark got chain pulled into the center and proceeded to get butt slapped by everything in the room, but he
Yeah.
tanked it really well. And he only burned one card. Oh, well, technically, he took a whole room's action, right?
Yeah.
And there was some terrible rolls in there from them, but he only burnt one card. Kept everything occupied for the whole round, and then yeah, we basically cleared the rest of that room rather easy, and it didn't get weird until probably that second room
Mm.
from memory when we decided to go back in time and welcome back doorway fighting, which
Yep.
I don't think we've done in a very long time. And this is Gloomhaven doorway fighting. This isn't Frosthaven. You open the door and there's a weird NPC in the back corner that desperately needs help in 3 rounds. Otherwise, he's going to get torn apart by scorpions and vipers. But this is to open the door. Oh, there's just a room full of monsters here. Let's funnel them into the first room, or let's just doorway fight them. What are your thoughts on doorway fighting as a whole? Do you enjoy it? Because
Nah.
when I saw the opportunity come up that we could do it, I got kind of excited. As yes, we can control this until it was happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
That's
starting to
right.
look around, and I was like, how do I do something else?
Yep.
And that's also when Phil was like, I'm bored.
Yeah. Yeah, he was not speaking for us, but he was definitely he's verbalizing some of our thoughts, right? Doorway fighting is interesting because it makes a lot of sense in a lot of cases, and I'm very interested to see in 2.0 how they've tweaked the scenarios to limit it. Because from memory in Gloomhaven, it was a lot of kill room, move up to doorway, everybody rest. Let's open the doorway and we'll pull back, and then we'll not necessarily doorway fight them specifically, is like only let one stand there, but definitely set up so
Funnel.
that they come in. Yeah, funnel them in, and that way you control it. Frosthaven had a lot of just you don't get to do that. Whether again that was either NPCs that were like objectives that were in the room that you needed to get to, time limits, things that just push you into the room for some reason, like just a
Mm.
variety of different things, right? And I think the feeling at the time was this sucks because we want to have control over this and we want to be able to set up and take our time and take a breath. But like just from this one instance of this happening, I'm like, I don't want to do this every week.
Mm. I'm
Right?
in the same boat.
Pardon?
I'm in the same boat, like with you, in that I think there was a level of excitement of doing it. Like, oh, we can cheese this, a little poke through the door, and we got 2 melee and we got 2 ranged, so it kind of works out really well. And it was situated that one thing can sit in the door, but most things were like melee. Because the smoke spirits and the water spirits, I think, were using melee attacks. I can't remember if they were using range, but we weren't in trouble. We were just very slowly, along with any CC that we were throwing out there. And yeah, I kind of wish that the game kind of gave us that urgency of you can't do that. You
Yeah.
guys can't do that. You got to make this happen. And as stressful as that is, and we feel like we can't play necessarily under our own requirements. Yeah, it's just it's
I,
I'm glad it's gone.
well, in Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? Sorry, I've
Glad
just
it's
confused myself.
Glad it's gone. No, I know. I see what you're saying, and I definitely think they would have made things in 2.0 to address that generally without drastically changing the game.
Hmm.
I think the other thing as well was if the difficulty was up higher, it probably wouldn't have felt as bad because something gets in the doorway. It probably takes 2 people attacking it to kill it. Plus, I was doing a lot of heals and or support abilities, but because everything was just dying as soon as it walked forward, and there wasn't like one thing would move forward, then everything else was just stop. So there wasn't a stream and there wasn't a good
Yeah.
clump of things. They were all just stuck at the back of the room. So yeah, it kind of
That's
uh,
worse for card economy then, isn't it? Like way worse, because then we're picking cards and not necessarily doing anything with them.
yeah. I think if we were to do that again, or if we're ever in a similar situation, which I'm sure we will be, I think the better things to do is to step a tile back, a hex back, so that we control the flow of them, and they get clogged there, but we can fight 2 or 3 or 4, which then opens up multi-target attacks and positional attacks, things like that.
Yeah,
Like, because if we have 1 or if we have 2 or 3 in there, we can shift them around and then put them in positions where you can use some of your attacks that, hit multiple hexes.
true.
Phil's got multi-target attacks, and I've got like we've all got kind of multi. So when there's only one thing in front of 2 people, it's kind of very limited on what we can
Yes.
actually do. So yeah, it was an interesting kind of throwback though.
Yeah. We said that Phil got bored. He blew a burn to smash something for like 9 damage. which was kind of like, okay, we need to keep moving because Phil's starting to get angry. It's starting to wreck things. I decided to, and I was having a discussion with Mark about potentially going back into the first room and teleporting because the map is quite enclosed and the rooms are within teleportation distance from each other. So there was a chance to blink to the back and open up the third room, which is actually connected to the first room, like a big circle, like a recycle sign. And yeah, it was like open that up and let them trickle through so that we can doorway fight them eventually. And yeah, that's kind of what we did. We kind of teleported in, opened that door, and then everyone made their way through, and it was fairly smooth sailing. Now things got interesting, really interesting, when Gaz decided to loot a chest in that second room.
Oh boy. This is
Uh,
by far the most exciting reward that we've had, or that I remember that we've had from a chest.
yes,
And it's hilarious because we were just talking about the rewards from the events and how interesting they are.
yeah, we need to have a talk, Gaz. We need to have a talk.
Oh no.
So there are two treasure tiles on this map. Two.
Oh
There
no.
was 59 and I believe 56.
Oh
And I
no.
read the wrong one for where you were.
Oh no.
Yeah. So when you went on that one, I opened up the map to the thing and I was like, oh, yep, 59. I went and read 59. What came out of it, Gaz? What came out of the one that you had?
Stew Stew. Like good
Actual Stu
actual
Stu.
Stew Stew, like the good version of Stew Stew. He was like
Yeah.
hiding in there. We rescued him. And
Yeah.
then I think the rules were like he was elite, so he had 5 HP, but he had permanent wound on him, which
Yeah.
he couldn't be healed.
No.
Right? So he was gonna tick down and die. But what had happened at that point was that we kind of, as Detty had said, he'd opened the door, he'd gone invisible a couple of turns, so that everything was kind of flowing through, but it was kind of uh, trapped in around like one chunk of the room. Mark went YOLO all the way to the back to just get in there and start swinging people and smashing skulls, and then we were following up. But on the follow up, that's when I opened the chest and Stu came out. And from that point on, he did so much work. So I from memory, I'm pretty sure he did like an attack and chucked a couple of curses in their deck, which was cool. And then the
Yep.
next turn, because the Forest Imps, he even though he's an ally, was just using the monster Forest Imp deck, right? Which is an interesting thing because we've had this twice now, I think, where we've had monsters that are on our side using those, like the monster cards, and it's actually pretty cool. Like I like the idea of it not being uh, on their like on a stat card that they get given, like oh this just does move to attack two, because it varies up what they do. And
Yeah.
also, yeah. So anyway, the next turn he pulled the one where they strengthen everything within range two, which is us, right? And then confuse or muddle everything within range two or three or whatever it is, which was most of the enemies. And then the next turn proceeded to, due to that muddle, one of the things didn't hit someone for like 6, they missed. And then the next one missed because they drew one of the curses he threw in there.
Mm.
So he was just doing absolute work. He was
And staying
amazing.
alive when it was on 5 health. He had the shield, very tanky. No, it was so cool. And he just got so much done. And I guess this is what makes it awkward because that wasn't the chest.
So does that mean
That
we have to
chest, that chest was the other one in the far corner that we
okay.
never ended up getting.
So does that mean
This
we need
one,
to redo the scenario?
I'll let you decide. And then we're going to have a little chat about this right now. We're probably not going to redo the scenario. I think
Mm.
that's Crimson Scales is not one that I think we have to do it to that extent. I think it's people probably want us to just play through it and enjoy it. We're still pretty strict with the rules when it comes to most things. Like this is just hard because I don't know how to fix it, but at the same time, I don't know how catastrophic it is. So that's why we'll talk about it. The chest that you would have gotten, was a scenario. So it was actually a new scenario, scenario 77, which is another Trails, almost like a side one, called Rat Traps. And so in a way, we didn't get that. We had Stu in that room, who then helped us. Would we have done it without Stu?
I think so because we weren't losing.
Because
Like
Mark and Phil were getting low on cards.
they were getting low, but because we only had to kill the spirits, we didn't have to kill everything. I think we were like, I mean, spoilers for how this ended, but it kind of ended rather suddenly, and I think we all had a lot of a decent
Oh,
amount of cards left.
I've absolutely got that covered just before the end. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but
I'll spotlight you.
yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, without going into the details, I think when we did finish it, we didn't finish it on like our last card.
No,
right? So if we had copped a couple of hits from Stu, not had advantage like strengthen on one of those turns, I don't know if it means the difference between us winning and losing.
Mm,
It just means we play a bit differently. Probably have to maybe burn a couple of more cards, which could have been the difference. I can't say,
yeah,
but
okay.
there's always the option when your objective is kill a certain monster type, and there's only like 2 or 3 left on the board. It then becomes a lot easier just to burn, right?
Mm,
Burn and survive.
that's true. Yeah, okay. So should we ignore the scenario 77?
I don't know. Let's throw it out to the community because they're the ones that are going to like roast us if we pick wrong. So we should throw it out to them and ask if we should have access to it or not.
Look, the episode will come out on the day that we play, but it'll come out well and truly hours, like 12 or so,
Mm.
12, 15 hours before we actually play. So we'll need to get a response by then. But the other thing I was thinking of is like, do we need to add more scenario bloat to our Crimson Scales campaign? Is missing a random side one really going to be that catastrophic, right?
Well, I mean, if we don't find out whether people want us to do it or not, like we're not going to do it next week, right?
No,
So
no,
therefore,
I'm pretty sure we're doing 71.
yeah. So we'll have time, like, for people to tell us.
Okay.
Or third option. So people tell us, do you want us to? We're
Oh,
not redoing.
repeat.
No. Regardless of what we do, we are not repeating the scenario for a chest, right? So here are your options and vote, and we'll chuck a poll up there once this episode goes out. Option number A, we just get it,
Number
right?
A.
So we unlock 71, 77, whatever it was.
And put Susu back in the box.
And put Susu back in the box, yeah. So it's kind of like, oh, we remember he did some cool stuff, but he never really was there. Or option number 2, we just don't get it, right? And therefore, if we do want it, we have to go back and do that scenario and open that chest, right? That's the second option. Or option number 3, we randomly distribute another chest in the next scenario we do, and then we also have to loot that. So
Yeah,
we take
okay.
that chest that we didn't get, we just put it into a scenario. Whether it's the next one or the one after it, I don't know. We just move it forward.
Yeah, okay. We'll just keep carrying this chest with us until we eventually pick it up.
Well, we're not carrying it with us, right? We're just like we're making it spawn into a future scenario so that we have access to this.
Got you. New
And
class idea, chest mancer.
yes, chessmancer. There we go. So it can be a kind of synergy with the doormancer. So there are 3
Absolutely.
options. We'll chuck that up.
Yeah. So yes, we did finish this scenario in spectacular fashion. I think we were allowed to have a couple extra rounds to get the chest because we were meant to get it, right? And then Gaz had his turn and he was going to do a bit of damage to the smoke spirit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and while doing so, absolutely
No,
fucks it up.
it was a water spirit as well.
Uh-huh.
So
You were going after its turn.
I didn't realize that. And I didn't hit it that hard. So the end of the thing, Mark, because he hates forest imps, right? Like just hates them. All of a sudden, we never knew how much he hated them. He's suddenly like, that's my guy, right? Like I want him. So there was one left in the back room, and he's like, I got to get to that one. I can do it next turn. Great. And then people were getting XP, and we're like, cool. And then we'll get the chest in a turn or 2 after that. I'll just throw out an attack on this water spirit. I think it was like an attack 3, and it might have been poisoned, okay? But it was on 7 health. Now, I thought it had shields.
Do the math, guys. There somehow
When I chose my card, right, I assumed I was going to go before it. So therefore, like, and I was pretty far down to my amD, so there was like 150% chance I was going to miss, right? And I didn't, though. What happened instead of me missing?
You crit it and insta-gibbed it, Gaz, and then said, "Oh, sorry, guys, I feel a bit bad now. I guess we're ending it like, yeah." And that should be the new condition. The scenario is over when Gaz decides it's over, basically. Read a thing.
I think there was a little bit more sincerity when I felt really bad because I didn't mean to do that. I was like, I was in attack 3 and I didn't realize it was poison. I didn't realize it didn't have 2 shields. And that was like 3 extra damage I did. And then I pulled that purple card, which I didn't even know what that card did. I pulled it over. I was like, what's that one? Is that has someone put some kind of like proxy card in my deck? Like, what's purple? What does that mean? And I looked at Phil. I was like, do you know what the purple card does?
It's
So
your
yeah.
fault because of Gaz's Miss Mania, personality trait, whatever. Because of that, you should have always gone with strengthen, right? Now, a long time ago, you booked one of my battle goals and then you unbooked it because you attacked the Fish King or whatever with advantage and you pulled a crit and something else. And then you chose not to crit him so that I could get a hit in. This was not with advantage, which meant that you only had to commit to the crit. So you still messed it up because you didn't use strengthen. You know you need strengthen. Now, in your defense, you didn't realize that your deck is now fixed and is amazing, and you're not used to that. So I get it. You're expecting always the worst from your deck, but you're going to have to adjust those expectations because your deck's amazing now because Phil touched it.
Yep. All right.
So
All right. Well, I'll
strengthen?
have to. It's going to take a while to come
I
to
know.
grips with that. So, funnily enough, the next card after that, which I checked because the scenario was done, was my miss.
Yeah.
So, advantage or muddle would have stopped me from killing that thing. So,
Yes. But lo and behold, the Gaz timer is born.
well, what we
So,
figured out and we discussed, I mentioned it straight after that, was that my AMD is just finding new ways to troll us as a group. So if it's not pulling a null on a major hit or just constantly for 3 turns in a row, it's then going like, no, I'm going to wait and I'm going to make sure you draw your crit when you don't want it.
yep. Yep. The mixture of squeeze versus why did you do that?
Yep.
So,
Yep. So, sorry, not sorry.
our party defeats the last of the smoke spirits, watching as the forest creatures retreat into the shadows. At last, we stand with an unobstructed view of the volcano, a magnificent and terrifying mountain of flame. The path forward leads to the main chamber, where the ember crystals Talo spoke of are said to lay. With everything we've endured, they had better be worth it. We win. Rewards. Add Road Event 61 to the deck. And new scenario, Embers of Corruption, scenario 71. What were your thoughts on scenario 70, Gaz? Because you made some interesting points at the end of the session about the 3-room kill all feel, especially after finishing Frosthaven. We had a little chat about that, but I don't know if we recorded it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I like the scenario. I think that it was a kill all with a twist, right? Like not a massive twist, but like throwing the hazardous, difficult terrain in there is interesting. Not that we had to deal with it. Having the 3 rooms and choosing, so it's not linear. Like you're not
Yeah.
going. I mean, you are kind of going in a straight line, but it gives you options.
Yes.
So we did have the option. We discussed opening both doors and just letting everything pile in, which is kind of cool. So yeah, overall, I'll rehash my thoughts on my other thoughts that were like that in the Frosthaven world and all that kind of
Oh,
conversation
we can save
later.
that as a separate segment for the future if you want.
Oh, I'll talk about it now, but I'm just to wrap up my thoughts on this scenario. I thought it was
Okay.
quite good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I did. I think it was the smoke spirits and the water spirits coming together in that same scenario and that's having to kill them was pretty cool. Having random bandit archers in there was made no
Just
sense, but like
just
whatever.
on that, by the way, they are garbage. They are worse like than Earth Demons Bandit Archers. They're hitting for what, 1 or was it 2 base? Something terrible. Like, how can you we've just come from Algok's Archers. This is a completely different game. I get that it was just 1, but holy crap, she felt terrible.
Yeah, I think they did do poorly. They drew badly as well.
Super bad.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, what about you? What do you think?
I had a blast. I had a blast on this. What I liked the most about it was when I allowed myself to see the whole map and plan accordingly with the teleport. Because of the accessibility of everything, finally felt like I could really play around teleportation and manipulation around enemy focus, in that I could go to the back and all of a sudden, hey, I'm over here, and pull them back. So that was really, really cool. My battle goal probably made this scenario better than it should have been for me, in that it changed the way I had to play. Now, I had Dawdler, which is you can only use your highest card as your initiative or something like that. So I always had to play my highest card, which eliminated everything that I was struggling with last time of going early to nail certain things for certain reasons. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go at 46 and I'm going to go at 76 and I'm going to go at like 50 something. These horrendous ones that I would normally not go. And I planned every turn around just giving myself enough options that depending on how much the board state changed, I would find something to do. And it worked brilliantly. Like it really did. I was on top of the Tide Pod Tide Pod situation a lot more than I was previously. I had something like 12 or 13 card XP by the end of it, which I've never done, not on the Vortex. That's easily the highest. I think it's the first time I've gone above 10. And it felt good. It felt really, really good. Um, the burns did what I wanted them to do, and as a result, I'm just saying that I know you asked me about the scenario, and that's what the whole scenario kind of thing is. But I'm incorporating that into how I feel about the scenario. As a whole, the scenario was really good,
Mm.
really fun, sandboxy feel without any of the crazy hoops or anything to jump through. And having a target, it's not just kill all, but having specific targets. There were times that I wanted to hit other things, like the Stu-Stus and all that. Mark wouldn't let me, and bandits. So knowing that there was a priority system there already there, just it definitely made it more fun.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where I landed. So, um, I probably it's weird, right? Because I don't think I'll remember this scenario. Like it once we've done 50 scenarios, I don't think this will be in my top 10 better, best or worst because it does feel very really vanilla. But I think the thing that you have to keep remembering is that vanilla is good for a reason, right? Like vanilla doesn't mean bad or average. It just means like plain good. Like it's enjoyable. It doesn't do anything too fantastic or too ridiculous, but it's probably going to be fine all of the time. And I think that works really well.
yeah, okay. We may have to tweak our scenario lists then, and instead of at the end of the year doing a top 10 best and worst, maybe doing a top 5 best and worst, and then a top 5 most fun personal experience on a scenario or something like that. Because that'll actually bring these sort of scenarios into the fray potentially if you had a really memorable time personally on it that has nothing to do with the mechanics of the scenario.
Yeah, it's a good point because I know there was a couple on my crab that I just loved because of like a couple of big turns I had, and but they wouldn't have gone in my top 10 best because
No.
they weren't amazing, but those were really fun moments for me.
Mm.
So I don't know if we got time. Did you want my quick thoughts on what I said after the scenario, or just to drop it as a
No, let's save it. Let's see if anyone actually asks. So,
okay?
hey, that Gaz was going to talk about something. You mentioned that thing. See if anyone asks. Uh, Ormi, how does he go?
I think he's fine, especially the way we played it. He just gets stuck in the back, like not being able to go through the door.
He's fine unless he doesn't make it through round one. That would probably be it, right?
Yeah.
If he's the one that gets pulled forward and chain smooshed, there's a chance that he becomes flat Ormi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if we kept him alive through the first turn, the problem with Smoke Spirits and Ormi is that he just really wants to hit things, and they really
Yes.
like. So, although I think he goes at 50, doesn't he, or 30? I don't know. Is it 50 or 30?
50 goes at Ormi goes at 50.
Yeah.
Thormy goes at 30.
What was that second one? Sorry,
Thormy.
Ormi.
Thor. Thor. When he comes Thor.
Thor.
Superhero Ormi.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Thormi. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. So I think 50 is probably late enough to avoid most of the retaliate. I reckon that the Smoke Spirits generally go pretty earlier than 50. So.
Yeah, okay. It'd be interesting to do a monster deep dive and have a look at their cards properly. See if there's a nice general strategy in there that may help out. Battle goals wise, so we already mentioned my Dawdler. We don't see that anywhere near as often as I would like to. I think it's a very interesting battle goal. Um,
I think because for those that might be new to this or don't remember, like, I don't know, 40, 50 episodes ago when we started it, we used to do a variant where once a battle goal was completed, it went out of the deck.
yeah.
The idea was that way we don't repeat and just like farm the easy ones to get 2 ticks or 1 tick. That one, if it comes up early, is actually quite easy. Like it has a really cool impact, and as long as you don't forget it, it's pretty easy to play around. So I think it was going out of our deck really early.
Is there a class that doesn't really like Dawdler?
Probably the Blink Blade or
But isn't there
Phil,
a
just in
slow
general.
blade?
A
Yeah,
slow
okay.
blade, yeah.
I'm just getting a thought of is there a class that their whole shtick is going first?
I think anything that wants to tank. Like, anything that wants
Yeah,
to be in melee and is gonna be
shields and
sharing
everything.
that, yeah, you lose your shield and your retaliate cards, but also you just lose the ability to pull focus. Like,
Mm,
basically, you're then telling everyone they need to go late all the time, otherwise they're gonna get
yeah,
hit. So,
yeah. It's a good point. Shirk up. Kill an enemy not adjacent to you while you are adjacent to another enemy. This was announced. I remember. That's right. You were letting us follow along with you. So this was Gaz on his galaxy. Hunter, kill one or more elite enemies or two or more for 4 characters. I don't know who had that. Was that Phil? Did he announce that towards the end?
Don't know.
Kill 3 or fewer enemies. Pacifist. Oh, they sound like ones I may have to check.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know if they got those because Mark was going pretty ham, and I mean, even though Phil got bored, and then maybe that's why Phil was going really supporty.
Good point, right? That's a really
So,
good point.
for those who haven't seen the playthrough, Phil played a lot more. In addition to his like ignore difficult and hazardous terrain, he did play a lot more heal cards. Like he has the
Yeah.
upgraded heal card, which he usually plays pretty often and as much and to good effect anyway. But he was playing a few other kind of heal supporty type things and less attacking. So I don't know if that was why. Um, but
That's a
yeah,
good point. It's a really good
interesting.
point. I actually reckon Phil had pacifist. That would actually make sense. And then Mark, yeah, running around and just killing whatever he needed to. Yeah, okay. Well done, everyone. I'm pretty sure everyone got their battle goal as well.
Mm,
Very important. All right, let's jump into some predictions for 2025. These are me just asking you now. It's not a discussion. I'm literally just asking you.
okay.
So, someone is going to play a character they really dislike more than any previous character they have played. Not because the class is bad, but because of a clash of playstyles or interests or motivation. Bonus points if you name who.
Phil.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think he's doing that right now?
No, I don't think he likes this less than the Drifter.
You think Drift is his worst?
I think Drifter was his least favorite, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
Oh,
think that's fair.
drill. I forgot he played the drill, and he
He
played that for like
did.
3 weeks. And
I
then he
think
was
he
like,
hated the drill more.
yeah, I don't know. I think there's a toss up between drill and drifter. I reckon if we were tier listing the classes or characters that Phil dislikes the most, I
Hmm.
think they would probably be on the same tier. They'd be like S tier for disliking.
Okay. Question number 2, prediction number 2. Who will retire their first Crimson Scales character the earliest?
Me.
Wow, you
Well,
sound
because
real certain.
because we kind of do these mini check-ins like once every couple of weeks, and most people will keep saying like, "What's a PQ?" Right? Like, I feel like I'm the only one that I know in recent like last couple of weeks, people have moved slightly closer, but I feel like I've made progress most weeks towards mine.
Can you give me a percentage of how far in you are? Roughly?
Uh, I don't know part of it.
Ignoring the last step,
Yeah,
because I think
just
you and I
last
both
one.
have a last
Yeah,
step.
yeah. Like 60 or 70%.
Yeah, I'm at about 55.
Oh, okay. You might, yeah, okay. So that I didn't realize you were that far through. But I mean, Phil and Mark were basically like 0% like 2 weeks ago. So I'm
Phil,
like,
Phil's getting ruined
oh,
right now because we've
yeah,
worked out that he wants Alagox. And
yeah,
I skimmed through and had a look at just this, what do you call them, the scenario chart of what monsters are in what ones, and some of the ones coming up. I don't know where they've gone.
no, Phil, sorry.
We'll try and find some, but
Yeah,
holy crap, yeah, it seems a bit unusual that we can't actively start shutting some of that down a little bit. But I'll
yeah.
have another look.
We might have to go all Anakin on the Tusken Raiders for Phil. Just
uh,
go to their home camp. Um, yeah, so I reckon I will because I'm progressing it. But there is a chance that mine stalls.
really
Yeah, because it's I've been
interesting.
incredibly lucky, right?
Wow.
Really lucky, and so there's a chance that luck just runs out, and I just get stuck
Yeah,
and
okay.
be in a position that I just can't manipulate it.
I can't wait to have this chat. Will it be enough to make up a whole episode?
Not just on my PQ.
Okay, that's fair. The third one I had was what confused me at the beginning. We will finish our Crimson Scales project before the arrival of Rove and or Gloomhaven 2.0.
I know, because I
You don't think
mean,
we'll finish?
before Rove,
Rove is going to be soon.
yeah, I mean, like Rove was supposed to be yesterday, right? But they didn't beat Chinese New Year, so Rove will definitely come out before we finish because we got like 50 or 60 scenarios to do. That's like a year.
We'll see. We'll see. We can't obviously afford to miss any weeks. We can't afford to fail either, I guess.
No.
We can't
All
afford to
right,
do too
minus
many
one.
new scenarios.
Yeah.
We will actively engage with the community to work out the direction of where it goes. Because there's a world where people will be like, no, 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 start Rove, start Rove, start Rove. And then it'll be like, all right, we'll start Rove
Well,
after completing Crimson Scales, straight to the boss, straight to Bowser.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're speed running Mario now, right? Where we're just
yeah.
skipping all the checkpoints. Well, I mean, we know one particular community member will be very vocal about us starting Grove, but I'd definitely like to see Crimson Scales through. With the only reason we stop it is because 2.0 comes out.
Yeah, okay.
Because I mean, that's what we've been waiting for. Like, Crimson Scales is actually a lot of fun, and I'm like, I know there wasn't supposed to be comments, but just very quickly, just what 7, 8 scenarios in, I've got like way more respect for the effort and time and expertise that went into making Crimson Scales now than I did when I knew nothing about it. Which makes sense because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't think it was going to be shit. But I didn't have any expectations. But it's actually amazing. Like the quality of a game that has been put together here is incredible, and
It is.
doesn't just filter through. That's like the classes, the scenarios, the story, the writing, the events, like everything. Every part of it has been like seemed to have a lot of attention's gone in, which is kudos to everyone that was involved.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree. It's been a blast.
Mm,
And every little tiny snippet of a surprise has been wonderful. Like just to constantly get these dopamine smashes. Very happy.
yeah.
Prediction number 4. There may be scenarios we don't like as much as others, but there will not be a scenario 14 equivalent in Crimson Scales.
I am going to say yes, there will not be because I feel like the small amount I know about Crimson Scales, it was played by like a lot of people, right, and changed. So I feel like if scenario 14 snuck through, the people would have said no.
Okay. Be interesting. Because obviously scenario 14 is just in reference to a ridiculously stupid scenario in Frosthaven. But Crimson Scales would have been out before Frosthaven, but there would still be the Gloomhaven version of 14. I can't remember what that is. That so there still could be a terrible one in there somewhere.
I mean, yeah, there has to be a worst scenario in Crimson Scales, right? Like, but I don't know what that is, and I don't think that'll be worse than 14.
I wonder if no one will say anything, and then we'll just watch us play it and just watch us have an absolute meltdown as to what the actual hell is going on and why is this so disgusting. And then, oh, by the way, that's the 14.
Yeah, I
Ah,
100% I
makes
don't want
sense.
people to tell us beforehand because, like,
Yeah,
even going into 14, you knew a little bit about it. Not
I
anything
did.
about, like, you knew that it had been, like, talked about
Yep,
being
I knew
really
its
bad.
reputation. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But I didn't know anything about it. So I was just like, hey, what's this? This looks cool. Oh, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
eels. Eels look cool. That sounds fun. And you're in the
Yeah.
corner, like, catatonic, going, like, oh no, it's all coming true.
Yes, I do not want to know. I want to be equally surprised and upset as Gaz. Prediction number 5. Predict where the following classes will end up on our amDirt class tier lists. The categories are Instapick, Viciously Average, or Bin. Basically a, top, middle, and a low. Ladder X.
You're asking me about ones I don't know. Okay. So Instapick, average or bin.
Yeah. But viciously average.
Vicious. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Like aggressively vanilla, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Ooh, ladder axe.
I mean, it's a ladder X.
Let's go with bin.
Are you for real? Alright, that's
Oh,
fine.
I'm just, uh, making it up as I go.
I reckon it's gonna be Instapick.
Instapick. Okay. Cool. Yep.
It's a ladder axe. I'm saving this list, by the way. We'll address this later. All
Yeah.
of these,
Okay.
we'll revisit them at the end of next year. This
Yeah,
year.
so that way when people can listen to this and go, when Gaz said that ladder axe was in the bin, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on a second.
Bleeding Claw.
That's got to be in the bin, right?
Ooh.
Nah,
You
I reckon
can't
aggressively average. Aggressively average. Like, just like ultimate vanilla.
alright, cool.
Like a really good brand of vanilla ice cream. Like, like Peter, is it Peter's? What? No, Buller? What? I don't know. One of the ones that's
I think
really
it's
good.
Buller. I think Buller's
Yeah.
the good one.
Fuller's like really good creamy vanilla like ice cream.
Yeah. Flaming Skull?
Oh, that sounds insta-pick.
It does. It actually sounds like that. Yeah, I'll go with that. It's got a skull on it.
And it's on fire.
It is. It's flaming. Tusks.
Vanilla.
The average.
Yep.
I'm gonna bin that one. And then tools.
Ooh, bin.
Yeah, okay. I think it's gonna be average because average, like tool kind of things, for some reason, like I don't know, make a little sentry and it's all right. It'd be better than the Tinkerer, right? That would be the OG tools.
That's yeah. Again, if I think the tool one will be like an upgraded version of the Tinkerer, like a Tinkerer that didn't drop off.
Yeah, okay. Finally, ramen noodles or crescent sana or something like that.
I don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
purple and looks cool. Like I
Oh,
with washing machine, that was the other one I liked just because of the color, and I like ramen, so
oh, okay,
makes
cool.
sense.
Average.
All right, and I'll insta pick that one. That's it. I just picked
But
7 or 6. I just picked 6.
oh, you missed bug.
Oh,
Beat
you
in
want to do bug?
middle. Yeah,
All
insta
right,
pick,
all right.
insta pick,
Bin.
insta pick. I've already picked it.
Yeah, you have. Okay, I binned it. There you go. Question number 6. This game will push the envelope in scenario design.
As in Crimson Scales.
Hmm.
I mean, relative to Gloomhaven, yes. Probably relative to Frosthaven, no.
That's our situation prediction. So Frosthaven exists. You don't think it will?
I don't think
Seems to be.
it's not gonna
It's,
push the envelope past Frosthaven scenario design.
but I think it could potentially from a wacky point of view. So Frosthaven's done it from a restrictive kind of, let's make this hard and brutal. Whereas this game is more like, yeah, you want a +4 to your attack or whatever, here you go. The boss is also going to get a +8. I don't know how much that work goes into pushing the envelope for scenario design, but
I mean, you talking about an individual one or just generally?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fast Eddie wrote something here.
No, that's right. Like, I think generally, no. I think generally they will be more vanilla than Frosthaven, but more interesting and pushing the envelope for using that kind of phrase than Gloomhaven. There is the potential that there are one or multiple scenarios in this that are just off the wall crazy.
Hmm.
Like, using your scenario 14 kind of comparison, of like, will there be one worse? I think there possibly could be some in here that are just like really, really crazy. Like,
Like Drunken Tale kind of crazy.
yeah, something like that. Something like that, like one or two designers have just put a lot of time and effort into kind of really refining and making it really unique.
Yeah, okay.
Like the cave one.
Yes.
Did Summers do any?
Of these? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think
Cool.
so.
Okay. It's a shame.
No, I don't think so at all. Another prediction. The game will involve driving/riding/piloting a vehicle at some point.
I hope so.
Well, here's the thing. We had the bathysphere, right? Technically, we were moving that's a vehicle,
Yeah, it's a
right?
couch. Yeah.
And then you got the train and all that. So, yeah, we'll have
Mhm.
one in Crimson Skulls, right? There'll be some kind of vehicle or something or a spaceship.
Yeah, totally. That's a spaceship. Yeah.
The next Haven project will be officially named and announced this year.
No.
Oh,
I mean, like at the current rate, they're hopeful
they can
to
announce it.
announce it. You reckon?
Yeah, like coming 2026, the Kickstarter, or sorry, GameFound campaign, but the game itself is not due to like 2030, but they'll announce the name to get everyone's appetite wet.
How much? I think they will just cop too much shit if they announce their next game before releasing 2.0.
But that builds up the hype for the current one that they're trying to release.
It does, but like if they're like, hey guys, look at this cool new idea and thing that we're going to start working on. It's not due till 2030. People are going to be like, we just want our game, the one game that you're currently making, right? Like, and again, we've been through that. I'm sure that they're running into challenges, but no, I don't think it'll get announced this year. Or if it does, it'll sneak in at the end of the.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon it's a
Hopefully.
next year thing.
If it doesn't by the end of next year, I will leak an announcement of some variety to 10 people.
Okay.
Phil will return to his crit-tastic best.
Yeah, I think it's an innate ability that's just got suppressed for some reason. Must have
Because
been
he touched your
Christmas.
deck. Gaz will return to his nullerific worst.
Look, I'm experience says yes, right? But statistics, and I'm channeling my inner Reisman here, and I also heavily believe in statistics. Statistics say no, it should not. I should be. I've seen the worst of it. It's an anomaly,
Hmm.
and I will go back to just regular draws. Everyone else regular, not me regular.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
Of you going back to your
Yeah.
worst? Well, your best really, right? I think that the level of everything will maintain itself for the next 2 weeks because I think you deserve to have fun at the same time. Just 2 more weeks of fun though. So I can enjoy it for the 2 more weeks, and then we'll start to slowly shift everything back.
Okay.
Um, it's hard because I don't want Phil to have to suffer for 2 more weeks. Even though, yes, we've had this chat, you've been suffering for 18 months or more. So it's Phil though. I don't want him to have to go through what you've been through
100%.
because you can handle it.
I don't wish this upon anyone. I don't want Phil to have a shit time. I just want to stop having a shit time myself. It's not zero sum. It doesn't have to be somebody having a shit time, right? Like where in order for this to continue, like let's all
But according
just.
to Reisman, wouldn't that be statistics? Like someone needs to have a bad time.
I don't think someone needs to have a bin. Like we're not talking as in I draw my miss once and everyone else never draws it, right?
Mm.
Like we're talking, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Look, it's good to hear that you have a transition plan for like fate and how it's going to affect the statistics and the draw. Like a couple of weeks and then we'll phase it out. So
Yeah, got a couple of ideas. Yeah.
yeah.
amDirt is the last question. Probably the most important one. Maybe. Who knows? amDirt for 2025 will hit 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. That'd be a cool goal. Like that would be really cool to know there's 1,000 people that have clicked the subscribe button on YouTube.
Awesome. With that, we will wrap up episode 94. Thank you all for following along for 2024. It's been a blast, and we love and appreciate every one of you. Big shout out to Gaz for staying by my side through yet another year of amDirt. Let's have an absolute blinder. Is that Australian? Blinder?
Blinder, yeah, I think it's Australian.
What does it mean?
Like go get real drunk.
Oh, nice.
I mean, but
Let's
I think it's been appropriated to just like have a really good run at it, right?
have a good
Like,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, let's have an absolute blinder of a 2025. Signing off from 2024, I've been your host, Detty, and I've been joined again by Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, you just gotta touch my deck.